Next on CTN News.
I want to thank the citizens of Coon Rapids for entrusting me the last 12 years.
3 members of the Coon Rapids City Council bid farewell to the community at the final meeting of the year. Plus, a bold move by Metro Transit to win over more North Star customers following a bad year for on-time performance. But first,
the reason kids are crashing, it's because they don't have the experience.
the new year bringing big changes to the licensing laws for teen drivers. That tops CTN News this Friday, December 19th, 2014. Thanks for joining us. Stricter requirements are coming for teen drivers in Minnesota before they can get their license.
Starting January 1st, teens will need to log more hours behind the wheel, and parent awareness classes will also be offered. State officials hope the changes will reduce the number of crashes involving teen drivers. CTN's Bao Vang has more.
Any question on the different licensing, the 4 different licenses?
By January 1st, 2015, students who have not completed behind the wheel training will be required to practice even more with their parents.
It's going to be a win-win for all the kids whose parents get involved into this.
The Minnesota Department of Public Safety's current suggestion of 30 hours of practice time with a parent will be increased to 50 hours. However, it will be reduced down to 40 if the parent attends a teen driver safety awareness class. Pat Cochran, driver education coordinator for Anoka Hennepin School, says it's meant to make teens safer drivers.
The crash rate for teen drivers in that first year of driving under a driver's license, and this is not an old statistic, it's consistent, is 50% crash the car.
Despite that trend, Cochran knows not everyone is on board with completing a supervised log.
They have to put down the date that they drove, the minutes that they drove on that date.
He received a call this week from an upset parent saying they plan to fudge the hours.
I have parents that say, oh, I'm not going to take my son or daughter out for behind the wheel, and you people are going to teach her how to drive. I'm not going to do that. There's your crash student right there.
Freshman Dominic Cruz hopes to avoid becoming a statistic. He says he doesn't mind having to spend a few more hours behind the wheel.
With 30 hours, you know what you're doing, but you don't know exactly how to do it. But if you do more hours, then you get more time and to master how to drive and everything.
Bao Vang, CTN News.
The school district's next teen driver safety awareness class for parents is February 12th at Coon Rapids High School. The building that once housed the headquarters of the Anoka Hennepin School District has been sold. The sale, pegged around $2 million, was finalized last week. District 11 administration moved out of the Educational Service Center on Hanson Boulevard more than 2 years ago, relocating to Anoka. The Hmong Alliance Church has purchased the property and hopes to move in sometime this spring.
A plan directing the future development in the area surrounding the Foley Park and Ride Lot has been put on hold. The City Council was supposed to vote on the plan at this week's meeting, but at a work session last week, it was the consensus to wait until the new council takes office next month. Some business owners are concerned about a possible change in zoning from industrial to high-density residential. Due to a $40,000 grant from the Met Council, the city only has until the end of April to approve and submit a plan. In an effort to boost faltering ridership, Metro Transit is guaranteeing reliable North Star service in the month of January. If any regularly scheduled weekday trip arrives at the Big Lake or Target Field stations more than 10 minutes late, customers will be refunded their fare, but you must register for the program. Metro Transit is trying to win back customers who may have left due to frequent delays since last winter due to mechanical and increased freight traffic problems.
More good news on the job front here in Minnesota. According to the latest figures released this week by the state's Department of Employment and Economic Development, employers in Minnesota added 6,600 jobs in November. That brings the state's unemployment rate down to 3.7%, the lowest level since May of 2001. The national unemployment rate is more than 2% higher at 5.8%. Another number that continues to fall, the price of a gallon of gas. We found regular unleaded selling for $2.19 at this BP station on Hanson Boulevard Thursday afternoon. The average price for gas in the Twin Cities currently sits around $2.34 a gallon. That's about 57 cents cheaper a gallon than this time last year, putting more money in the pockets of consumers. In fact, federal officials say the average family in the U.S. will save $550 on fuel next year.
The cable franchise between Comcast and the city of Coon Rapids is being extended for another 4 years. This week, the City Council approved the settlement agreement and introduced an amendment to the cable franchise ordinance. The deal allows the city to continue receiving funding from the cable provider through the end of 2019. The current franchise runs out next year. As part of the agreement, the city will be receiving 2 HD channels to broadcast community and government programming. The CTN schedule will also be listed on the electronic programming guide.
I think it really helped our discussions, quite frankly, to have a city that really supports their channels through the use of the franchise fees. This city provides 100% of their franchise fees to supporting that channel, as well as the PEG fees, and that made a big difference.
As part of the deal, the city has signed off on a transfer of the Comcast franchise to Greatland Connections. The transfer to a different cable company is part of the $45 billion merger proposed by Comcast and Time Warner Cable.
I, Martin Nelson,
I, Martin Nelson,
do solemnly swear.
do solemnly swear.
The city's 2 newest career firefighters took the oath of office at Tuesday night's city council meeting. Martin Nelson has lived in Coon Rapids for 3 years and has been a paid on-call firefighter since 2012. His wife and one of his sons helped pin on his firefighter badge during the meeting. Christian Werby also took the oath of office. He moved to Coon Rapids 2 years ago and has been a paid on-call member of the department during that time. His wife had the honor of pinning on his new badge.
Coon Rapids said goodbye to 3 longtime city council members this week. Before Tuesday night's city council meeting, a reception was held for Mayor Tim Howe and council members Paul Johnson and Bruce Sanders. All 3 are retiring from the council at the end of the year. During the final meeting of 2014, they each took a few moments to say farewell.
But I want to thank the citizens for, well, electing me over 19 years, 6 different times, and entrusting me with helping make the direction and kind of mold the future of this city. I think it's in good hands. And
I've had the opportunity for the last 8 years to serve as representative. I appreciate that. I hope I've done some good for the overall community as well as the ward, and I will miss representing those folks.
It has been humbling, and it's been a pleasure working with this council, this mayor. I haven't worked with any other mayor, so maybe there's nothing to compare. But Tim has shown extraordinary leadership and patience.
There will be 2 new faces on the city council next year. Wade Demmer seen there on the left and representing Ward 3, and Brad Johnson representing Ward 5. Councilmember Jerry Cook will take over as mayor. Still to come on CTN News, the winners of the holiday lighting contest.
Plus a rundown of acts performing during the winter concert series. Also ahead, big honors this weekend for a former Coon Rapids High School girls hockey player who now skates for the Minnesota Gophers.
Our track program is suffering for the last decade, and this will just add to it.
And with its future up in the air, the push to save a popular cycling track in Blaine. Stay with us. A group of bikers is doing what it can to save a unique track from the wrecking ball.
The velodrome at the National Sports Center has been around since 1990, but staff says it will remain closed until enough funds are available to address decaying structures. This week, CTN's Joe Nelson found out what cyclists are doing to help save the track that's unlike any other in the state.
It looks like you're riding right at a wall, and you know, the first couple times you do that, your stomach just sort of drops, and then you learn how to use the wall. So you get to the top of the track and you dive bomb. So fun.
For nearly 25 years, cyclists looking for speed without potholes or steep hills found their way to the National Sports Center in Blaine to race at the state's only velodrome.
It's banked at 43 degrees on the corners. The speed that the riders will go in races, they'll get up close in sprints. They'll get up close to 40 miles an hour. There's a board that has been replaced. That's one of the maintenance issues that will be addressed, is the deterioration in the trusses.
NSC staff says repairing the safety hazards on the track would give it at least 4 more years of life, but will cost $60,000 or more. Without that funding, the track that has hosted national championships and Olympic trials will remain closed.
It would break my heart. It would absolutely break my heart. I love this facility. I love the community here.
The track has to be safe, and if it's not safe, we can't ride on it.
An advocacy group called the Friends of the Velodrome formed to raise money to save it.
Our overwhelming goal right now is to preserve the existing facility to keep the sport viable in Minnesota. We have commitments for over $42,000 that we've raised, which is really quite remarkable.
You can go play hockey on any one of our 10,000 lakes here, and you can play soccer in anybody's backyard, but you can only ride a world-class velodrome in 2 or 3 places in the entire country, and this is one of them. To see something like this just be left to decay and not be taken care of and then just tossed to the side, you know.
A proposal to have the NSC come up with half the cost of repairs was voted down this week, with board members saying all funding must come from outside sources to reopen the track. The group set up a crowdfunding page where people can make donations. To find it, we posted a link on our website at ctnstudios.com. Stephen Carey?
Certainly one to watch. Thank you.
Thanks.
A former Coon Rapids player for the Cardinals girls hockey team is receiving a big honor this weekend. Before Saturday night's varsity hockey game at the Coon Rapids Ice Center, Rachel Bonna's jersey will be retired. For 5 seasons, she wore number 7 and put up some pretty impressive numbers, including 165 goals, 105 assists, and 270 points. She capped off her varsity career by leading the Cardinals to a 3rd-place finish at the state tournament in 2011. Bonna is now in her senior year at the U of M, hoping for a 3rd NCAA title with the Gopher women's hockey team.
The Coon Rapids Arts Commission announced the winners of the Holiday Lighting Contest this week. Coming in 1st place in the motion category is this festive light display set up by Tim Yonk at 12052 Vintage Street. The 2nd place award in the motion category goes to Jerry Murphy at 10940 Magnolia Street. In the still light category, the 1st place award goes to Bruce Quammen at 11360 Crooked Lake Boulevard, and the 2nd place award goes to Shelley Sullivan at 11231 Partridge Street. All the winners will receive a cash prize from the Coon Rapids Arts Commission.
The Coon Rapids Arts Commission Dessert and Coffee Concert Series kicks off next month. On January 8th, it's the Country Sounds of Gravel Roads. On February 12th, it's Straighten Up and Fly Right, an unforgettable tribute to Nat King Cole. On March 19th, Lachlan Road plays at Celtic Tunes. And on April 9th, it's the 50 Sounds of the Holy Rockarollas. All concerts begin at 7 in the Civic Center. The admission fee does include beverage and a dessert.
The final installment in the 3-part film adaptation of J.R.R. Tolkien's The Hobbit hits the big screen this weekend. Howie Shapiro has that and much more in this week's Now Showing.
This was the last move in a master plan. A plan long in the making.
The Hobbit, the Battle of the 5 Armies. Bilbo and company are forced to engage in a war against Smaug and stop him from obliterating all of Middle-earth.
You have but one question to answer. How shall this day end?
Now, you and I both know there's something magical in the museum. The sun goes down, tablet starts to glow, everything comes to life.
Night at the Museum, Secret of the Tomb. Larry spans the globe, uniting favorite and new characters while embarking on an epic quest to save the magic.
Hello, welcome to the British Museum.
Hi.
Must be wicked being a security guard in America. With your gun, with a silencer, with your ninja swords.
That's not even a little bit true.
Sandy, wait! Stop!
Why are you running?
It gets me places quicker.
Annie, this modern-day adaptation of a Broadway musical by the same name, has a foster kid seeing her life change when New York business tycoon Will Stacks takes her in.
The sun will come out tomorrow. Bet your bottom dollar that tomorrow. We're gonna be okay, Sandy.
Opening the week of Christmas, Into the Woods is a modern twist on several of the beloved Brothers Grimm's fairy tales and exploring the consequences of the characters' wishes and quests. Unbroken, after a near-fatal plane crash in World War II, Olympian Louis Zamperini is caught by the Japanese Navy and sent to a prisoner of war camp. The Gambler. Lit professor and gambler Jim Bennett risks his life for a second chance after his gambling debt ruins him. American Sniper. It is based on Chris Kyle's autobiography. The story depicts Kyle's tour of duty in Iraq and his struggles to be a good father and husband. I'm Howie Shapiro, and that's what's showing.
All right, thanks, Howie. Quick programming note, we will not be doing newscasts the next 2 weeks due to Christmas and New Year's. Our next show will start airing on Friday, January 9th.
So be sure to enjoy your holidays and join us in 2015.